everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some of the orchids that I've got in bloom for the month of July, and we're about halfway through July at the moment, and I'm just going to show you some of the orchids that are nearly fully in bloom or fully in bloom. I do have some more that have got buds or spikes that I'll show you next month, with one exception, which I will make a follow-up video on. So with that said, let's take a look at what's in bloom for this month. So the first orchid that I'm going to talk to you about today is the Phalaenopsis Samera, which is a primary hybrid between the Bellina and the Violacea. And I don't actually own a Bellina. I do have the Violacea alba, which I've shown you in a previous video. So this is the closest that I've got to a Bellina at the moment. And the smell of this one is very similar to the Violacea, but it's slightly sweeter with kind of more of a fruity hint, which I believe is the influence of the Bellina. So I'm really happy with the flowering on this one because I've seen a lot of the pictures of the Samera online and it can be quite a variable cross, but the flowers on this one are just absolutely beautiful and they're so intense, and I love the way the pink fades into the yellow at the edges. They're my favourite colour combinations. It's a sequential bloomer, so when I got it, it came with one spike, which has since started to yellow, but before it started to yellow, it decided to put out this other spike, and as you can see, I've got lots and lots of happy sap on that, and there's another bud forming already. So from my experience with the Violacea, what tends to happen is one or two buds will open at a time, and then they last for about a month, and then they fade and one or two more new buds are ready to open to take their place. Now, unfortunately, I've not got the Violacea in bloom at the moment. It's got another two buds that are nearly open. It would have been nice to be able to compare them, but my Violacea is a Violacea alba anyway, so it wouldn't be a direct comparison with the parentage that's in this, which is just the normal Violacea, I believe. But yeah, I'm really happy with that, and I absolutely love the leaf sheen on it. I just adore the lily pad-like leaves that this orchid produces. It's just absolutely stunning. It's so fragrant that when you walk into the room, you can really smell it. It's like really floral, kind of cinnamon with fruity hints. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm just in love with this flowering. Next up, we have the Phalaenopsis Joy Fairytale, which I have featured in previous videos, but since this is a completely new spike that it started and opened up 3 flowers on, I thought I would show you it again. I never get bored of this one. It's a really gorgeous peloric variety, and some types of peloria on Phalaenopsis I don't really like, but this type of peloria I absolutely love. The petals are an exact mimic for the lip. You really couldn't tell. I've had flowers open kind of upside down, and you really have to look very carefully. The lip is just very slightly thinner and has more of an intense coloration and less of the spotting that the petals have. I absolutely love this one. It's a fragrant hybrid, and the fragrance is pretty much identical to the Phalaenopsis Leodoro, that kind of citrusy, mild scent. It's not as intense as the species like Phalaenopsis Bellina, Violacea, or the primary hybrids, but it's an absolutely beautiful fragrance that I just absolutely love. And you can see it's produced 3 flowers on this particular flower spike. This Phalaenopsis is just always in bloom for me. It's continually starting new spikes or branching off old spikes. I think we've currently got 6 spikes on this plant, and this is a new spike it started to work on, but it's also producing new branches there off one of the previous spikes, so I could have more flowers at any time from this one. So it's absolutely beautiful. There's going to have to be a point that I stop featuring it in videos because it is just always in bloom, but yeah, just let me know when you get bored of it and I'll stop featuring it, but until then I never get bored of it. So it's just an absolutely beautiful hybrid. Next up, we have the Ascofinetia Peaches, which is one of my first kind of near Phoenicia hybrids, and I'm really happy that it's blooming. When the flowers first open, they're a really intense, kind of saturated, neon orangey pink, and then they kind of fade a little bit as they darken. So I think I've got a good example here actually. So this one is one of the first flowers that opened, and you can see that it's got a little bit darker. And this one has only just opened, and you can see that it is a more kind of intense neon pink. Absolutely beautiful. It is slightly fragrant, and it's not overpoweringly fragrant, but it does remind me a little bit of peaches. And I don't know if I'm just being led by the name, which is quite possible. But yeah, it does have a definite kind of sweet, fruity scent that I really like. And I absolutely love the flowers of this one. So you can see they've got the classic kind of spur from the Phoenicia. And they almost look, when they're just about to open, like they're going to blast. And you're like, oh. But this is just, they turn from white to this colour. And it looks a little bit dodgy. And then they turn to this colour. And you're like, oh, okay, it's fine, it's not going to blast. But it did this to me for all of them. And at first I was like, no, they're blasting. But no, it's fine, they're not blasting. So this is a much larger plant than the classic Phoenicia, which I think it gets from the Ascocentrum side of its heritage. So yeah, I'm really happy with that one. It's a really lovely hybrid. I really love Phoenicia hybrids because they give that really beautiful flower shape. Next up, we have another really cute little miniature with the most adorable pink flowers, which is the Dyakia Hendersoniana. Now, I'm going to do a separate profile video on this orchid actually, because I absolutely love it. And it's got a bit of a bad reputation as being a little bit difficult to care for, but I haven't found that to be the case. The only issue I had was when it dried out and I got a lot of leaf tip dieback. And when I first got it, I'd unmounted it, so these roots died off. But it's produced new roots, as you can see. And it's actually produced 4 flower spikes at the moment. And I'm not sure if all of them are going to bloom at once. I'm not exactly sure the pattern that this orchid follows, and I don't know how long the flowers last for. So I thought I'd film it now and show you what they look like. But do a separate video on its care, and maybe we'll have 4 flower spikes flowering at that point. So this is one of the flowers that's fully opened. Just try and get you in a bit closer there. So it produces such tiny little flowers that resemble Aerides a little bit. But they're just so, look, that's my finger, and can you see how glistening they are? Can I see it a little bit better when there's something behind it? They're just so like intricate and glistening in the light. And they're supposed to be fragrant, but at the moment I'm not really detecting any fragrance. Maybe once all of them are fully open, I will notice a fragrance. But it's just the cutest little miniature, and I love the way its flower spikes form. Next up we have my Miltonia Sunset, which I finally managed to rebloom after about a year struggle with Fusarium. And after I treated it, it rapidly recovered. So I've now figured out my treatment method for Fusarium, and this is already pushing out a new growth. And we've got 4 flowers at the moment and a bud still to open. But it's an absolutely gorgeous colour, and not all of them have this kind of orangish hue on the petals. They can vary quite a lot in form, and I'm really happy with my version. This isn't a fragrant hybrid, but when you've got flowers this gorgeous, you don't really need a fragrance. Next, we've got my Oncidium Pupukea Sunset, which is the alba variety. Now, I actually have 2 alba varieties of this. One I specifically bought because it was the only Pupukea Sunset that I could find, and that has a very rosy pink tinge to the lip, whereas this one is pure white on the lip. There's no kind of rosiness at all. There's no hints of pink. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I got this one discounted and it had fading flowers, but the pseudobulbs are really characteristic on the Pupukea Sunset. They're like a really long shape, and I could kind of see the hints of yellow in the flowers, and I thought, oh, I know what that is. And I got it and kind of recovered it, and it's produced 2 flower spikes for me. And this one is just an absolutely spectacular show. I'm really happy with it, and it's super fragrant. And the fragrance is actually slightly different from my other Oncidium Pupukea Sunset. It's more of kind of a sweet floral fragrance, whereas the other one was almost a little bit like an essential oil, like I've heard it described as frankincense, and I think that's appropriate, but this is a much more strong floral scent that I really love. Next up, we've got my Vanda Princess Mikasa. which I think is previously ASCO. And this is a hybrid that I got from a garden centre actually. It was a discounted one with no flowers, and I thought I'd take a chance with it because the actual plant itself was very large and looked healthy. And it's flowered for me for the first time. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I absolutely love the hints of green on the lower sepals there. It's absolutely beautiful. I didn't realise, I just thought it was kind of a white hybrid because the flowers were fading when I got it. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I just love the hints of green there and the kind of greenish yellow lip. It's one of my favourite larger flowered Vandas actually. I did also have my Vanda Pachara Delight in flower, and I have been dealing with a very minor outbreak of thrips, and their Vanda Pachara Delight was the only plant that they targeted, and that got very swiftly dealt with, but the resulting sprays actually damaged the flowers, so I've just chopped the flower spike for that one. So I've been kind of going through an intensive treatment regime, which I'll make another video about at a later date, and no signs at all of any more. I think I got them early enough, but that's why we've only got one Vanda in bloom at the moment. We've also got in bloom my Aerides Rosea, which is a beautiful tiny flowered Aerides. Now, compared to all the other Aerides that I've seen, the flowers on this are so delicate and so small, but they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're almost like crystalline. They look like they've been dipped or crystallized in sugar. They're so glistening, and I actually took some pictures of this one outside in the sunshine to try and capture that a little bit better, so I'll put them up on screen because it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's not fragrant that I can detect, but it's such a beautiful little Aerides. Okay, so that is everything for what's in bloom in July, and I will put another video up in August, at the end of August, with what I've got in bloom then. I might have to make a few little interim videos about things I've got blooming that I've got a little bit more to say about. And I've got some summer blooming phals just producing spikes at the moment, so that'll be super exciting. Thanks so much for watching today, and if you liked this video, then you can either give it a like down below or subscribe to my channel for more regular orchid updates, and I will see you guys later. Bye!